DMK's fight against the centre over its alleged imposition of Hindi seems to have gone one step too far. One of the party's MPs has now resorted to slandering Hindi and Hindi speakers by making a casteist slur. He said the language has done them no good and will only make people of the state of lower caste or Shudras listen in to this shocker of a statement by TKS Elangovan. Ladies and gentlemen.
ஒன்று இந்தி நம்மை சூத்திரனாக்கி விடும். இந்தி எந்த நன்மையும் நமக்கு செய்யாது. நான் ஒரு பட்டியல் சொல்கிறேன். இந்த பட்டியலை கேளுங்கள். மேற்கு வங்காளம் வளர்ந்த மாநிலமா இல்லையா? அதற்கு கீழே ஒரிசா வளர்ந்த மாநிலமா இல்லையா? அதற்கு கீழே ஆந்திர பிரதேசம் தெலுங்கானா வளர்ந்த மாநிலங்களா இல்லையா? அதற்கு கீழே தமிழ்நாடு வளர்ந்த மாநிலமா இல்லையா? மேற்கே கேரளா, அதற்கு மேலே மராட்டியம் கர்நாடகம், அதற்கு மேலே மராட்டியம், அதற்கு மேலே குஜராத், அதற்கு மேலே பஞ்சாப். இவையெல்லாம் வளர்ந்த மாநிலங்கள் இல்லையா? ஏன் இதை கேட்கிறேன் என்றால் இந்த மாநிலங்களில் இந்தி அந்த மக்களுடைய தாய்மொழி இல்லை. வளராத மாநிலம்னா மத்திய பிரதேசம், உத்தரப்பிரதேசம், பீகார், ராஜஸ்தான், இந்த இன்னும் இப்பொழுது புதிதாக பிரிந்த 2-3 மாநிலங்கள். எதற்கு அப்புறம் நான் இந்தியை படிக்கணும்?
Times now confronted TKS Elangovan, the DMK MP, who had absolutely no remorse for his comments. He went on to justify and defend his comment, trying to give it context. But his justification only made matters worse for the party.
What Thiruvalluvar said in Tamil is, all men are born equal. When this thing failed is after the entry of the North Indian languages, Sanskrit and allied languages, which entered the south, also brought the Manu Dharma concept with them, and that was introduced here, and people were divided into 4 classes. So if Hindi comes, the language, I didn't mean the people, if the language comes, it will bring the culture, its own culture along with it, and make us Shudras. That was what I meant. When I have a language which is rich in culture, which speaks about equanimity, why should I follow a language which does not speak about equanimity? That was my question.
If you thought that was supposed to allay any discomfort, it's just made matters worse. Now, this is not the first time or even the first leader of the DMK to have made such comments about Hindi-speaking people. Tamil Nadu minister resorting to outright insult of Hindi speakers and North Indians had once said that those who speak Hindi actually are Pani Puri walas. And while the DMK continues to malign Hindi speakers and the language, Prime Minister Modi on multiple occasions has praised Tamil. Be it while he was in Chennai a few days ago when he called Tamil the language of an internal one, or his address at the United Nations in the past. Those are the examples of the BJP citing to slam the Stalin government for its parochial politics. So the question that we are asking is, are they resorting to defamation of a prided language of India? That's the question, and that's the debate on the other side. DMK insults Hindi. The debate coming up.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Uma Anandan, BJP councillor, Rahul Ishwar, activist, Gokul Chandran, political analyst. My first question goes to Vikraman, our spokesperson of the VCK. And Vikraman, I want to ask you, I speak Hindi. Am I a Shudra? I think you're on mute.
It is clearly a misunderstood and misconstrued statement of Mr. TKS Elangovan. What he was referring to is See, according to Chaturvarna, according to Varna Shastra, see, the society has been divided on caste lines, especially Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas.
We know the caste
Shudras.
system. We
Yes,
know
you
that.
know the
We've all
caste system.
studied that.
Yes, but these were all brought by Aryans from the Central Asia.
Okay.
It was not prevailing in the country.
Okay. So now if we speak Hindi, then we become Shudras. We can't become Brahmins, but we can become Shudras. Because Hindi is also associated with Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras or whatever. But if we speak in Hindi, we all become Shudras. That is the interpretation.
I did not mean that, Navika.
What did he mean? He was asked again, and that's exactly what he said.
He was saying, see, according to Manu Shastra, the persons living in Tamil Nadu, except Brahmins, everybody is Shudra. That is what the Manu Shastra says. And Shudras are, according to Manu Shastra, they were all menial creatures. They were all doing menial jobs. They were all slaves.
All right, and
so
that is as per the Constitution of India, which believes that each one of us. That believes that each one of us is equal. So we are menial now. We are menial, and now we are Golgappa walas, Pani Puri walas, and Shudras. Uma Anandan.
I think
is this a preposterous manner of looking at any language in this country where diversity and plurality has been revered over centuries? I want to ask you, Umaji.
See, first I would like to say, as I told you earlier, that Tamil Nadu, the Dravidian stock, the so-called Dravidian stock that they pride themselves in, the foundation is Brahmin hatred and hatred for Hindi. These two are the basic foundation. And you saw one Mr. Vikraman doling out his intellectual superiority about Manu this thing, which is nothing but sheer nonsense. They can only talk like this. So I think the dislike for BJP and Brahmins is what is making them, and now the growing popularity of Mr. Annamalai, the growing popularity of BJP is making them jittery. But one thing I would like to say, TKS Elangovan sir is one of the most sober, sane, sensible person from the Dravidian side. It's very, it's very sad to see. Even Mr. TKS Elangovan is uttering this as a good friend of his for the last 20 years. Definitely, I would like to meet Mr. Elangovan and clarify his and why he has resorted to such very nasty remarks.
Mr. Gokul Chandran, I'm coming to you. Vikraman sir, I'm coming to you. Let me get in all views in first. Gokul Chandran ji, I am Hindi speaking, and one minute, Vikraman ji, I'm coming to you. Mr. Gokul Chandran, I'm Hindi speaking, so I'm a Shudra and a Pani Puri wala. I'm not a journalist. I don't deserve to be one. I'm one Shudra, and I should be selling Pani Puri because I have no right to sit here and be a journalist. Are you saying this is the way we are going to look at each other in this country?
Navika, Shudra doesn't necessarily a caste.
Okay.
So what does Ambedkar say about Shudra? In his book, Who is a Shudra? He clearly says the Shudras are the one who are the invaders who came from the Aryans. The Aryans are called as Shudras.
So we are invaders. Can we say, with your permission, can we live in this country, sir? Since you are the boss and the owner of this country, can we live in this country, sir, anymore?
You cannot.
Will you allow us? I cannot.
No.
I should go?
Cannot. Yeah, you should.
I should go from this country.
Yeah, you should.
Where should I go, sir? Wherever I want. How dare you? How dare you?
You are asking stupid questions.
No, what do you mean by stupid question? You can call us Shudras and Pani Puri walas, and that is not stupid. But if I ask you that whether I can live in this country according to your definition, you call this a stupid question. Rahul Ishwar, are these the learned people of India who are calling us Pani Puri walas and calling us stupid and asking us to go from this country?
Navika ji, they are insulting Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. Baba Saheb Ambedkar in his epic work, Who Were Shudras, categorically denies Aryan invasion theory. Baba Saheb Ambedkar says there is no Aryan invasion theory and the whole premise is false. Second, Mahatma Gandhi back in 1915 himself came to Madras. He was ready to allocate 15,000 rupees 107 years ago for Hindi Prajar down south, and he respected Tamil. And present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji proudly says Tamil is the oldest language in the world. Narendra Modi ji, being a Gujarati, being from the north, is being statesmanly. And what is the so-called people doing? Insulting Hindi. See, we want both Hindi, Tamil and all the languages. When Narendra Modi ji and the others are showing a statesmanly attitude, they are demeaning Hindi, they are demeaning Bapu, Mahatma Gandhi, they are even misquoting Baba Saheb Ambedkar. See, this is nothing but hatred towards Indian unity. This is using language to divide India. This is using language to demean others. Look at the great respect Narendra Modi ji is giving to Tamil.
No, look at the great respect Mr. Gokul Chandran has given me. Look at the great respect Mr. Vikraman, Mr. Gokul Chandran has shown to me. He has said that I am an Aryan invader because I speak in Hindi and I have no right to live in this country. So do you also believe? And now he switched off his camera and run away from the debate because he thinks I'm stupid and I have no right to live in India. Mr. Vikraman, I want to ask you, do I have a right to live in this country? Do I have the right to speak my language, or am I also an Aryan invader and therefore no right to live in this country?
See, he was clearly saying if Hindi is coming, it is a gateway for Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a very unequal language, and it is a Brahminical, Brahminical imposition of some culture on Dravidians. That is what he was trying to say. And if a Sanskrit comes in, the inequality creeps in. Already the country is divided on caste lines. Sanskrit is promoting caste. Sanskrit is promoting Sanatana
Have you read Sanskrit? Have you read Sanskrit?
Ambedkar did.
Ambedkar said. So you blindly believe. Ambedkar ji also said. Ambedkar ji also said.
Ambedkar clearly, he was saying there was an Aryan invasion.
Ambedkar ji wanted
Ambedkar clearly said
the official national language of
Ambedkar
India.
clearly
He even moved amendment for it.
Working class people have been turned into the Shudras, and how they were ill-treated, how Manusastra is an imposition of such an unequal law on people with the help of the power of those kings, how Brahmins have appropriated this whole country, how
Mr. Vikraman,
Ambedkar has been telling everything.
We are in the 21st century and I want to ask you this question. Are you going to say Aryans were invaders? People who speak Hindi are actually Pani Puri walas. Do you think this is a retrograde way of looking at things? I'm just saying are these statements. I don't know too much of Tamil, but I can learn 1, 2, 3, honor and moon and all. Now, I can also say my Hindi 1, 2, 3, 4 is fine.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So then we should respect each other. So where is this coming from? Where is this coming from that you should not live in this country? And if you speak Hindi, then you are a Pani Puri wala. Where is this coming from, sir? Where is this coming from? How can you even think about a fellow Indian in this manner?
Madam, do not impose your language on us.
I'm not imposing. Nobody is imposing. I think Tamil is beautiful. I think Tamil is beautiful. I think Malayalam is beautiful. I think Telugu is beautiful. And I think Hindi is beautiful.
If Hindi is beautiful, make a state for Hindi. Gujarat doesn't speak Hindi. Gujarat has Gujarati. UP has
we can coexist, or can't we?
Vaishali.
Can we coexist without becoming Pani Puri walas? Should I call you dosa wala? Should I call you a dosa wala? Is this? No, it's not fair. It's not fair to say these things.
The union government has to respect our language. Instead of spending crores and crores of money only on Hindi and Sanskrit, they should spend on all other.
Sir, I agree with you. Every language should be. I agree with you. Every language should be respected. I agree with you. But to also respect Hindi? Can you also respect Hindi?
Navika ji, remember this point.
English has to be replaced by Hindi. That was the whole
Rahul Ishwar,
statement.
Rahul Ishwar, last 30 seconds to you.
That was what he was.
Navika ji,
he was
just remember
opposing.
this point.
That is where
Ambedkar ji proposed.
imposition, everything.
Sakshal Ambedkar ji proposed Sanskrit as the official national language of India. It was the father of the constitution who proposed this. And they all wanted blend, synthesis and coming together. Have you heard anybody disrespecting
He was
Tamil
not
from the Hindi
allowed to
states?
learn
But
I
many
think-
people down
I
south,
think
where
we
I
need
come
to.
from,
I think we need to just calm down. I think in this country the bottom line is very clear. Every single language has its own sweetness. Bengali is as sweet as Tamil, and Tamil is as sweet as Hindi, or Gujarati, or Marathi, or Telugu, or Malayalam. The question is, why are we looking down upon different languages and people who speak them? It goes against the fabric that makes India and the constitution of this country in the 75th year of our democracy. That's all there is to it. Thank you very much for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same show, the News Hour at 9 on Times Now.
After the break. The News Hour